Hey everyone, good morning. It's Ryan Henry with INSPIREsmall.biz, and joining me today is INSPIREsmall.biz leader and videographer, social media expert, all around creative and good guy, Ray Mills. How you doing today?
Doing well.
So Ray, we've gotten to know each other pretty good over the last couple of years, and
Yeah.
we sat down and had coffee. What has it been 2 years yet, or is it just been?
I actually it's more like a year and a half, I think.
Okay. So yeah, just
Yeah.
coming up on 2 years now here soon.
Yeah.
And you had an amazing story about where your career started before you got into business for yourself. So give everyone a little bit of a background on some of the incredible work that you've been a part of.
Okay. Gosh, I've done a ton of stuff in my life, which means I'm old. No. But I my college degree is in journalism, radio, television production. So I always
Okay.
thought that's what I would go into. But at the same time, I was a musician and I was writing and stuff. And during college, I got caught up in um, being involved in like a spiritual group there, a Christian organization, and it was something that was really great for me, and I learned a lot, and I decided to join their staff afterwards, and I joined their music division, and through that, the 20 years I spent with them, I ended up touring the world and
Oh
all over the
wow.
United States. I was a sound person. I was a lighting person. I Some of our groups had sort of themed oriented shows, so I helped write them.
Oh nice.
And then when the web started becoming something that you really need to think about, I think it was in '94 is when I built the first website for
Oh wow.
that organization, and I built it in Netscape Navigator Gold. Do
I
you
heard that
remember
name in
that?
a while.
I know, but they had like an editor in there, and I was just making it, and I didn't know about size of files and stuff, and so when we tried to upload it, it would take like 40 minutes to load on the 28K.
Oh jeez.
So yeah, I learned some things pretty fast. But I became uh, I became the graphic designer for the division, and then um, later on, I was living in Southern California. That's where our office was, but then they had a lot of stuff going on here in Carmel, and so I moved there to be with the people who were actually touring and stuff to help them out. And then I actually started doing some more touring. Spent some time in Europe with some of our groups. Took a sabbatical in Europe,
Oh wow.
and came back because I just wanted to do something different. And I went to my leadership and I said, "Hey, I think I'm just supposed to go hang out with musicians down in Broad Ripple and, and see what happens." And somehow they said, "Okay, and here's some money so you can take people out to lunch." So I
Hey,
got like
even better.
5 grand a year to take people out to lunch.
Okay, that's quite a bite.
Yeah. So, that's that crazy part of my life. But I ended up leaving that. It was just time to go. And I ended up my first bigger gig outside of that was I was hired by the Heartland Film Festival to be their artistic director.
Oh wow.
And for 3 festivals, I essentially, with a big team, chose the films that would be shown.
So,
So,
for anyone watching who doesn't know what the Heartland Film Festival is, give
yeah.
them a quick rundown because it's quite prominent here in
Yeah,
Central
it's a
Indiana.
very large festival. They're a Academy Award qualifying festival. So if you have a short film that gets into it, then the Academy will look at your film as a possible winner. You have to. Not every festival has that designation.
Wow.
It's also, I think back then they were selling 25,000 tickets over the 10 days it happened, and they give a lot of big financial prizes too. So it's a big favorite of filmmakers, and that was actually spending the time with the filmmakers made me go, I studied film. Why am I not making film? So
Fair enough.
when I left there, I was like, okay, I'm gonna figure out how to make film also, and so that's when I actually incorporated RM Media and so it was like this side gig, and I ended up working at a local academic institution, and was there for I think 13 years, and um, I was doing all their social media, I was doing all their web, and I was doing video for them. And after a while, wasn't a great place for me to be anymore. And I left it, and I was like, I guess I'm doing RM media full time. Surprise. And so that's what I did. Now I had some big clients that were kind of carrying me along back then. Um, but the whole, you know, running your own business is so crazy.
Yeah, it's
And
chaotic.
and just I did not have a business background at all. And I'm so thankful that I showed up at one of your meetings. I think it was in October of 23.
Yeah, that
It
sounds
was
about right.
up in Fishers at that bowling alley.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I even, when I found it, I even paid for an ad
Yes.
just because I'm like, I may as well do something to make people notice me. But it was hilarious because I show up at that meeting and I don't know anybody. And you came up to me and a couple other people were talking to me. And then all of a sudden I find out that I'm going to have to do my 45-second pitch.
Surprise.
And I was like, yeah, what do I say? But I've been so grateful because, getting to know you and a few of the other people, you guys have really carried me through this. Now, there's still a long way to go, but I have a much better understanding of the business side of things, and I'm hopeful. I'm about 3 years in on my own, and there are things that are doing well out there. Doing it by yourself is really hard, and
Yes, it is.
I wish, if anything, I wish I could find someone who would do sales on commission. Does anyone do that? I don't know.
So, Ray, let's jump around a little bit because I mean, you put your entire experience, and there's an immense amount of experience into that first couple of minutes.
Yeah,
So, I want to back up and talk a little bit about your time working with the Heartland Film Festival.
sure.
If you had to pick one film that you saw that
Oh
just
gosh.
went on to be one of like your all-time favorite thing that you observed,
Oh wow.
what
Yeah.
project was that?
Gosh, that's so hard because there were so many great films. That was one of the blessings of working there. It's like I saw crazy amounts of amazing films that you most of them are not going to make it into really wide circulation. Um, my first festival, we had a ton of films from overseas come in, and we had a film from Israel come in called 7 Minutes and Seven. That it's not a happy subject. It was about a bombing on a bus, but the filmmaker had weaved in this wild spirituality into this terrible moment and created this beautiful film that just just made you really think about what's important in life. And it's one of those one that like I don't think I can even find it on streaming, or if it's out there I just haven't found it yet. But that one was pretty powerful. But then that was a narrative film, but a documentary that I saw that really impacted me was called, and I'm totally spacing, Wasteland. And it was about before Rio de Janeiro hosted the Olympics.
Mhm.
They used to have these huge garbage dumps in the city there, and they ended up clearing all that out to build the Olympic stuff.
Interesting.
But this artist from London, he came over there and he found people because those dumps are so big that people worked on them and not quite lived on them, but they'd be looking for stuff that they could recycle or they could sell. And there was even this one woman who set up a little thing where she cooked for the people who worked on the dump, and sold them food.
So there was a whole economy that was building up
Yeah,
around
and
them.
these were not small. They were many mountains of garbage. But so the artist came and he met some of the people there, and then he took these beautiful artistic pictures of them. Um, but then he asked them, he said, I want you to take this picture and then I want you to go through the garbage dump and let's find the colors of your picture and let's recreate your picture in with things you found on the dump.
Interesting.
And he put it into this huge warehouse and they laid it out and then he took another picture from above. So you had the original picture and then the recycled garbage picture. And then he took those people to London to an opening. And it was just all this beauty, and just incredibleness and that just made me go, I need to find the beauty in anything, because it's there. Sometimes it's hard to see.
Very true.
Yeah.
So you mentioned earlier on that you have a general interest in composing, and I've heard some of your work.
Yeah.
I really enjoy it. But so in addition to R and media, you also compose your own original music.
Yeah.
So when did that interest develop? When did you realize you had a gift for creating music?
I think ninth grade. Well, I had taken piano lessons before that, and my piano teacher hated me. I never practiced. So I did it for 2 years, and then my parents were like, well, his sisters could continue, but he'll just have to do his
This
own
is where
thing.
Ray stops.
But I would just make up stuff. That's what I was doing when I wasn't practicing for the lesson.
So you weren't playing what was on the sheet music. You were playing what,
Just
you.
just in my head. I read music, and I was part of a Baroque recorder group because I was living in Germany, and it's a little more normal over there. Where here you get the plastic version, and you maybe play it in second grade. Over there, even in the American schools, you learned how to play it because they wanted you to know about the culture of the country you were in. But then I ended up going further with it, and I own like two alto recorders and stuff.
Oh, wow.
But but in ninth grade, I moved. We were living in Germany. We moved to the U.S., and I was very fish out of water because I'd lived so long in Germany. And it was hard for me to find friends, but I ended up meeting these people, these guys who did music, and one guy in particular, he invited me over to his house, and his parents had pretty much given him a room to turn into whatever he wanted. And
Oh.
in that room, so he had a huge drum set up, then he had a bass rig and a guitar rig, but his parents had bought a grand piano, a baby grand,
Oh.
and there was a Hammond B3 sitting there too with
Okay.
the organ, the old rock organs.
Yeah.
And he said, "Why don't you play with us, Ray?" And I'm like, "I don't know what to do."
Right.
And he showed me how to play by chords. He goes, "We're just doing chords. So there's the C chord, there's F, there's G, and just play along." And so that got me going in kind of the rock and roll world. And I was like, "Oh, this is not too hard." And and it's stuff I kind of knew, but just nobody nobody said if in your piano lessons you don't learn how to be a rock and roll person.
True.
And so I kind of took what I knew and then what I learned, and I've always had musical ideas, and I started fleshing things out. One of the first things I wrote is this ridiculous concept album called "Welcome to World War III." had, had these ridiculous keyboard-based songs, and I was playing with a band. We had moved back to Germany, and I was playing with a band there, and there was a guitar player and then me, and I think there was a drummer. I can't remember very well, but there was another guitar player who was just this metal guy, and we all didn't really fit together. And so I I wrote this one song called "The General's Last Stand," and that was very lots of keyboards. And but my lyrics, I also write lyrics. They were very doomy, end of the world, all that stuff. And I overheard the guitar player say to the other guy, "Ray's writing all of this stuff that should sound like Black Sabbath, but he makes it sound like Styx." And I'm like, "Well,
Oops.
sorry." Anyway, I didn't stay in those bands, for very long. But I just kept writing. When I got a little bit more involved in my faith, I started writing music for the church, and I'm actually published. I have a song in a hymnal for the Christian Reformed Church. I have songs that are still being played in churches, which is really wild to
Interesting.
me. I don't quite attend as often as I so. But with when I started RM Media, and I was like, well, it'd be great to do some composition for film also. So I started like a little sub unit called Retro Relax, and I started just writing instrumental music, and it was like music for your short form videos, basically. And so I started uploading that, and every now and then I hear somebody uses something, but it hasn't gone that far, that's fine. It's a good outlet for me.
Nice.
Uh,
So now you've kind of mastered all of the art involved with putting out a media project.
yeah,
You can capture it on video. You
yeah,
can compose the soundtrack
yeah,
for it to, kind of set the mood to what you want people to feel in the video, and then the expertise to put it up on social media and online and just help it really connect the rest of the way with people.
yeah, yeah.
So let's talk about a project that you did right here in this office last year.
Hmm.
So, because you could do these mega projects for world renowned opportunities,
Yeah,
but for the small business owners that we see every day, you set up a service where you put them in front of the camera
yeah.
and just had to make the case for what makes their business special. So tell everyone a little bit about the background there and what you hope to do with each of those videos.
Um, the so the video headshot is what we were calling it, and I just wanted to make a way for small business people to have a way to make a very high quality short form video, and so it could be a commercial, it could be an introduction. But we set up in here. I brought all my lighting. I brought my really nice camera, and we set it up in here. And then people would come in, and I just give them a little coaching, and I think one gift I have, which I'm glad, is I can make people feel kind of calmer because cameras freak people out,
Yes, that's true.
and I think personality wise, it just there's something where people are feel safe in that situation with me, and so I set them up. And we did it against a white background, so it'd be very neutral. And then I could take it later and add in different things, like the one we did for you, where um, it was just you against the white background.
Right.
But we did one for Rotary that
Uh-huh.
you did,
Yes, we did.
and so I film it in a way that um, I can in editing make you larger and over to the left, or you fill up the screen, and so I throw up the Rotary logo there, so it's kind of it's a simple kind of video, but I put background music to it. We do some light editing if we need to, and the person walks away with something that looks just very high quality. I also I can do it in vertical form, which is what most short form video is now, whether you're doing a reel on YouTube or, Facebook short or whatever.
Yeah.
Um,
But let's talk about the application of that because
yeah,
yes, most small businesses are using it on social media and absolutely should be using it on social media. But you're also setting it up as a horizontal video. It's a product
yeah,
that's ready if that business steps into television advertising, right?
yeah,
It's a finished product.
yeah, you could use it for that. It's like, the cost of television advertising. I think it's kind of all over the place, and you can, but I know like on streaming services, you can buy local time on like Hulu and Netflix, and they're all selling commercial time,
Yeah.
and that's what it was designed for. It's like a very inexpensive product that you can spend maybe some more money putting it out there.
So wherever that business is in their marketing and advertising efforts, whether it's just putting it up on Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn,
Yeah.
but they could also set it up as a streaming ad, so YouTube, Hulu, any of those guys, or if they're ready to step into their local TV market, it's
Yeah.
that kind of finished
Oh,
product
yeah.
where
It's, yeah,
no additional work is needed as their advertising grows.
exactly. Yeah. And it's something too where, everyone should be, well, I tell everyone, you should be picking up your phone and talking into your phone and posting that online because that's just the way the world is nowadays. And but what I do is, I bring a sheen to it that you just don't get from the phone. And a lot of times the phone can be appropriate for especially a lot of social media, but there are times where you want to step it up and you want to really be able to look good, and it's all about what it's for, and that's something that I discuss with everyone to kind of figure out what are they hoping to do with this.
So then let's talk about a good example of that. So while you were doing these video headshots, you had a friend of yours, Scott Semester, come
Yeah,
in,
yeah,
and he was able to just throw out a perfect pitch
yeah.
for a fundraiser. What was the organization that
It
he was
was
working with?
for Dove House.
Okay.
They they're a shelter for women who have come from some rough backgrounds, and situations, and so they do a gala every year called the Dessert Dash,
Yep.
and that's just a really fun thing. Every table there's a QR code, and the table has to get together to try to donate the most money.
Then
And
they get to pick their
yeah,
favorite dessert first.
exactly. And the spread of desserts, it's from all these bakeries. You got everyone from the highest, like wedding cake type bakeries, all the way down to a big plate of Long's Donuts was there too.
Ooh, okay.
So it was a little bit of everything. So, but if you were the highest bidding table, then you went first, but you only had 15 seconds to pick. And then the second table would come, and I think they had 10 seconds, and they did it in 10-second things. So it got a little wild and crazy. But the way I got involved with it was my friend Scott. He called me up and he said, "Hey Ray, I'm supposed to make this video for them as a little promo for the event coming up." And he goes, "Would that fit into what you're doing?" And I was like, "Yeah, come on down." And so he came in and he goes, "I don't know how to make videos." And they wanted me to make a video. So, but you're making videos. So,
Ray to the rescue.
yeah. And it was great. There were just a couple things they said. We want you to say these things, and then we want you to eat this cupcake at the end. And so
Can do.
he had two cupcakes from, I think Flying Cupcake or something. And Scott is just this consummate professional, and he was the MC for the event. So he was just so hilarious and making these. Like my favorite thing he said was desserts to make you drool, and then he kind of looked and goes, "But not on the desserts."
Yeah.
And just kind of this. He's just so funny, and so we filmed it, and then I took it. And he needed it the next day. It was like great. So, it was so much fun. I stayed up until about 3 or 4 in the morning, turning it into this promo that they would just never forget. And
And it really was a great one.
yeah, you can see it on my YouTube page and stuff.
Let's go ahead and pause here and put it up for people so that way they
Okay.
can watch it. It's an incredible commercial.
Hi, I'm dessert connoisseur Scott Semester, and I'm thrilled to be the MC for this year's Dove House Celebration Luncheon and Dessert Dash, presented by Audio Chuck. This year's event will take place on Wednesday, September 18th, from 11:30 to 1 at the 502 East Events Center in Carmel. Rumor has it more than 24 local bakeries have donated delectable treats for you to enjoy. Think cheesecake, think red velvet cake, think German chocolate cake, pound cake, vanilla, coconut. The list goes on, my friend. You'll have a chance to drool over these delectable treats, not literally, please. And then the table with the highest collective bid among table mates will get to dash for their desired dessert first. Then the second highest bidding table will go next, and so on. The competition is sure to be fierce. And here's the cherry on top. Not only will you enjoy a delicious meal and a mouth-watering dessert, but your presence and donation will help support Dove House, Indiana's largest residential women's treatment center that provides services to clients at no cost to them. You're not going to want to miss this one. I'd like to see you there.
That was really cool. So
Yeah.
as Scott was talking about the chocolate cake, and you had like the
Yeah,
chocolate
yeah,
pop up, and
pop up,
yeah, just so. But you turned what ordinarily would have been, in a lot of circumstances, someone taking a phone and just doing the best they could,
yeah,
and you took it to a whole new level.
yes,
And I mean, it certainly made me excited to see the video, and I didn't see it until after the event happened.
yeah.
Um, so let's also talk about some of the other projects that you've done here. So you started sitting down with people to interview them and just kind of get their life story
Yeah,
and share that with other people. So a mutual contact that we know who had passed away last year, unfortunately, Marshall Morris, you were able to sit
yeah,
down with him and capture his story.
yeah. I have a 90-minute interview with him. When I first met him and heard his story, I was like, gosh, is anyone making a film about this guy? You know, and and he ended up. It was at another networking thing, and he spoke briefly, and so I heard some of his story, and somebody had told me I need to meet him, and so he gave his story, and he came and he just sat down right across from me. I'm like, okay, this is perfect. And
Opportunity.
yeah, and I said, hey, your story is pretty amazing. And somebody told me I need to meet you, and I'm a filmmaker. And his eyes lit up, and he goes, "We need to talk." You know, now his life was super busy. There were some amazing things that were that would have been great to capture on film, but to raise the money and stuff, like they had the is it called OC Choppers, the
Orange County
Orlando,
Choppers, yeah.
yeah, they built a chopper for his organization, Dying Defiantly, and so we were talking about like how can I get down there to film him getting as they presented it to him, but you know it costs money to do everything, and we
Yes, it
just
does.
didn't have time and we didn't have the resources, but I finally got him to sit down, and then a mutual friend, Mark Light, actually interviewed him, and Mark was involved in Dying Defiantly also. And just 90 minutes of letting him talk, you know. Um, and we put it out in half hour blocks. Um, and it was just really powerful to be able to capture someone's story like that. You know, and every person like me who has a business that does commercial video and do videos for not for profits and stuff like that, we're also all these wannabe big name filmmakers, you know.
You have a dream.
Yeah.
You're working towards it.
So, you know, and I always have projects going on in the background, and I was hoping Marshall could have become one. You know, sadly he passed not very long ago, and but that 90-minute interview is just that I was able to get that was very meaningful. I have another project I did where I started interviewing people over the age of 75 to just let them tell their stories and see what comes out. I've so far interviewed 28 people.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and there were some really amazing stories that have come out through that, and ultimately, I want to release that as a film. But it ended up inspiring this new thing that we're offering, that called Timeless Legacy for RM Media. Which, as we were doing those interviews for the film, you know, we saw there's these people, and it's like who's going to remember these stories? Do you want these stories to be remembered? Whether somebody tells some, dramatic story, or whether they're just saying, "Oh, I remember how we didn't lock our doors," and
Yeah.
which we got a bunch of that,
Yeah.
but it's just the voice of those people. I was like, I really wanted to capture that. But now with Timeless Legacy, um, it's I'm hoping to be able to reach, especially grandma and grandpa,
Yeah.
of a family. It's like, because who will remember their stories, and how will those things get passed down? And so that's the goal, is to start creating these kind of mini films for people, that where I can get the sort of the patriarchs and the matriarchs of families to share their stories that can be preserved for their descendants to come.
So their very own film starring their
Yeah.
family and loved ones.
Mhm.
So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go
Mhm.
ahead and show everyone that video because I saw it.
The
It's
promo
powerful.
video,
Yeah.
yeah.
So you don't want to miss this preview.
Some stories are too precious to fade. With Timeless Legacy, RM Media creates beautifully crafted films that preserve your family's history, memories, and values for generations to come. This isn't just a video, it's a treasure, a gift, and a way to keep yours or your loved ones' voices alive forever. Your and their legacy deserves to live on. Let us help you tell your story. Contact us to begin capturing your family's timeless legacy.
Wow, that was powerful, Ray.
Thanks.
That was a really good video.
Thanks.
So here's the hottest question of the whole show today. How does someone get a hold of you?
My website, which is a newer website now, raymillsmedia.com.
Okay.
And then you can email me at ray@raymillsmedia.com. You can also email timeless at raymillsmedia.com. That, if you specifically want to know about how you can capture your own stories for the future generations. And then they can also call me 317-716-9903.
Nice. Well, Ray, thank you so much for being a part of today's show.
Mhm.
And to
Yeah.
everyone watching, for your next video project, big or small, or help posting to social media, or unique musical compositions, make sure to give Ray a call. He's got you covered on all fronts, video and sound. So get a hold of him today. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please share it with your friends. Subscribe to our channel so you can be notified about more small business owners making a difference. We'll see you then.